When we repossess a property that we financed, is there a right of redemption period?
When you foreclose?
Yes.
Yeah. The right of redemption in Missouri is very limited. They have to serve a notice on the foreclosure trustee, which should be me, right?
It is.
Yeah. Prior to or at the foreclosure sale, but prior to the conclusion of the bidding. And then it's immediately extinguished if there's a third-party purchaser. But if the lender takes the property back and the notice of redemption has been served on the trustee, the debtor then has 20 days to file a bond with the circuit court. And I can tell you that I've had a couple people try to do that, and I've never had anyone successfully come up with the bond. Because usually if they had the money for the bond, they would have been paying you.
Great.
So
Okay.
there is a right of redemption, but it's very limited.
Super.
Mhm.
And I think, because we've talked about it a couple times, but I'll say again that right now in Missouri, foreclosures are generally non-judicial. We cry them at the courthouse, but other than that, the court's not involved. So there's not a stay on that in any way. If we have to evict them post foreclosure, you know how that is. We're going county by county, and it depends on what's going on.
Right.
Right.
Well, Jim, you're back from Mexico, eh?
Yeah, I got back last month.
Darn. And I called my friends at immigration and they said no, but
No, they let me back in the country.
yeah, well, that's good.
Thanks, Dwayne. Thanks for thinking of me.
I love you.
Yeah.
Don't tell anybody in public that they can hear.
Yeah, no.
All right. Well, let's see. It's good to have everybody here this morning. Let's go ahead and get started, and we'll talk about Mexico after a while. I do want to hear it too, Jim. I want to hear about your escapades. Now, I'm John Lee with St. Louis Real Estate Investors Association. Today is December 11th. Good to see everybody, and we're happy to have Kathy Davis here with our weekly updates. Kathy, good to see you. What do you have to tell us today?
I always feel like, oh my gosh, what am I going to tell them? Because I don't have, our path has been not straightforward recently. It twists around. We go one step forward and two steps back. And I think that's continuing. I feel like the vaccine news is the light at the end of the tunnel. So hopefully there will be a point at which, we'll be back to normal procedures, but it looks like that's going to be, a few months yet. It's hard to know at this point, what's going to happen after the first of the year with respect to federal money, federal eviction moratoriums, and that kind of thing. It seems like our folks in Washington, whatever side of the aisle you prefer, are not getting it together to pass additional relief packages and that kind of thing. We did get some information about some more money from the state of Missouri, and we sent that to John. And you got that right, another plan from Missouri? Yeah. So that might be on your website, information about that?
It should be. I will check.
Okay. And we also got something this week that was interesting that I also sent to John. And I think he's forwarded it to your board members. I don't know if there's a link on your website yet, but there's a proposed bankruptcy reform legislation that, among other things, would allow people to discharge their rent in bankruptcy and stay in the property. Now, currently the situation with bankruptcy is that if a tenant files bankruptcy and they owe you money, they either have to pay the back rent or leave. It's called accepting or rejecting the lease, but they don't get to just, stay and start over. This provision of the proposed Consumer Bankruptcy Relief Act would allow them to stay in the property, be forgiven for the past rent, and just have to pay new rent going forward. I feel like this is a horrible provision. It's another way where the landlords just get stomped on. I think there's a close affinity between lawyers and landlords because nobody likes lawyers either, right? But, if I have a credit card from Nordstrom's, which It's a good thing I don't. And I went to Nordstrom's and shopped and shopped and shopped and ran up my credit card and then didn't pay them. They would not let me go back into Nordstrom's with that credit card and get more stuff. You know, they can cut you off. Even if you're in bankruptcy, they can't make Nordstrom's lend you more money, allow you more credit. So this is involuntarily requiring you to lend more credit to somebody who's already stiffed you. Now, there may be people who file bankruptcy who you might want to make a deal with and who you might want to keep. And, you know, maybe they've had horrible medical bills or, you know, some kind of bad luck and now they have a job and you're willing to work with them. But to be forced to do it, whether you want to or not, is just a new twist that I found kind of stunning. My friend Norm Pressman, who's a great bankruptcy lawyer, he does more like big bankruptcies, big Chapter 11s and that kind of thing. He monitors this sort of thing. And he forwarded me to a link to the article about this proposed bill. And of course I send everything on to John now so, so that he can look at it and decide if it's worthy of forwarding to the people who do your website. So he might, the link might get posted if you're interested in reading it. It's a long article, but if you skim through to the part about the landlord tenant provisions, you know, of course it's being couched as, oh, let the tenants keep their residences. Well, why if they're not paying for them?
Mhm.
I mean, there gets to be the point where why would you pay for something if you can get it for free?
Mhm. Mhm.
I mean, I don't pay anybody to go to Forest Park
Mm.
because it's free.
Mhm.
So I think that, you know, there's articles, I saw a headline today, I didn't read it. I don't know if it was the Post-Dispatch or the Business Journal, but it was about housing scarcity. Well, that affordable rental housing is going to become even more scarce because of the way they make it impossible for landlords to make it a, you know, a business that's not in the red.
Mhm.
Why would you do this business to lose money?
Mhm.
There's other things you can do that are more fun to lose money. Maybe a casino comes to mind, or, you know, cruises. We like to cruise. They're not profitable, but we'll spend money on it, you know. We get at least something back. So Chris is in the unenviable position of having a big docket on Monday. We usually run our landlord dockets, so it's our big ones in the city and county are Wednesday and Thursday. But because of the way the city's functioning now, he often has to have court on Monday. And it's very difficult because people come in on the weekend and pay or make arrangements or move and that kind of thing. And so it's hard for us to be as up to date as we would like to be at the time of the court. So he's really busy right now working on that. And Christine is mad about something again. So she's in her office, not willing to come out. I can tell you that we had a docket yesterday in the county that went well, except for the fact that we had a lot of unlawful detainers on. I think we're doing more unlawful detainers now because people are going crazy, and also because we're hopeful that we're going to be able to evict on those maybe sooner than we can on the rent and possessions. But I had to set 3 cases for trial, which is unusual for me. I'm usually good at talking people into some kind of deal, but and they were all crazy people. And we're switching judges the first of the year. So these 3 trials are all going to be like the first day of the new judge. So we feel very sorry for him. He's going to get a baptism. The good news is in our county dockets is our judge, Judge Lassiter, who is making the switch to domestic relations on the first of the year and has been a great judge for us. That the new judge, Judge Medler, says he's going to do everything the way Judge Lassiter does. And that's been going really well for us in that division. So we were happy to hear that. If you have cases that you file regularly in front of a different judge and you want to ask me, I can probably tell whether you're keeping that judge or getting a new judge. But that's what's going on in our division. In the city, we're also getting a new judge. We're getting a judge who has been in Division 27 before, Craig Higgins. He used to be an associate city councilor, so he's not going to be easily fooled by the tenants, you know, complaining. But it's a transition. And, you know, sometimes we don't get their court dates right away, or like our new judge in the county is going to new judge school the second week of January. So we have a date on January 7th and we're not sure when our dates are going to be after that. So Chris is working that out in the city. We're hopeful to go back to Wednesdays in the city. And we have a new presiding judge. So Judge Burleson, who's been giving the eviction stays, his term is up at the end of December, and Judge Stelzer is coming in. and he might not be willing to give those eviction stays. He's a very strict judge, who I like a lot, but he's a judge that a lot of attorneys don't like him because he'll get on your case if you're not on time and you're not prepared and everything's not proper. And since we're on time and we're prepared and everything's ready, we don't get in trouble. And so if somebody else gets in trouble, and you know how that is, the other kid in class is getting yelled at, not you. That's not your problem. Yeah. You're thinking about the recess that the other kid's not going to get to go to. But I'm trying to remember what Chris just told me. St. Charles is still continuing their business, what they've pretty much done since the beginning, where they consider landlord cases are essential, bless their hearts. And so our other kinds of cases out there are being continued off until the end of January, but our landlord cases are getting heard. And their sheriff is evicting. Jefferson is a hot mess because of their inability down there to enact any kind of restrictions. They've had incredible COVID flare-ups. A huge amount of courtroom personnel and that kind of thing are sick. They were going to start hearing court in the municipal building in the sheriff's department, but now apparently it's being moved back to the regular courthouse. But we're still, like I said, it's a hot mess down there. Apparently there's at least 16 clerks that are out with COVID, and the clerks are really the ones that run the places, in these counties. And with all those people gone, it's hard for us to tell what's going on. Chris is going down there next Tuesday, and he may get more information on that. But if you have stuff in Jefferson right now, I just can't even begin to tell you what could happen. Of course, we're now at the time, in December, where there is this every year. There's judges changing, courts don't have court for a couple of weeks, that kind of thing. So in a way, this is business as usual with respect to that. But in another way, with the COVID stuff, I guess, it's bad right now and it could become worse. So we don't know what will happen, how things will change the first of the year when we get new presiding judges and new division judges and, that kind of thing. I hope everybody is safe and well, but it's hard to know. But we have the vaccine. We have a vaccine about to be approved for everybody. Maybe the Pfizer one, maybe the Moderna one coming soon. So hopefully that we will come to an end to this, because I, for one, am tired of it. There was a few weeks there when I kind of liked nobody bothering me, but I'm over that.
Exactly.
Anybody?
I had a question with the new judge in the city. Is that better for us versus Burleson, who was more inclined to go with the city's wishes with regards to the execution
Well,
aspect?
I really like Judge Burleson, and he did call me and talk to me about these stays, and we did get him to, allow evictions on everything except the rent cases, which was helpful. It was better than the county. The new judge, Judge Stelzer, I like him too. I like most of the judges really, but Judge Stelzer, I think, is going to be more strict. And, Burleson was giving this stay based on the idea that the city had all this money to give out, and that he was allowing the tenants and the landlords time to get that money and get it given out. I don't really know what's going on with that. Chris seems to think that more money is being given out now, and that's going better. But I think it's still kind of a slow and uncertain process. Chris has also told me that they've raised their amounts. They used to have limits like $1,000 or $3,000, and now they're willing to give more money. Or if the tenant has gotten one grant, they're letting them reapply for more money. So, but that money, from what we've heard, ends December 31st. Whatever's not given out by then has to go back, and there's nothing new that's been allocated. So Stelzer would not have that reason to continue the eviction stay after December 31st. In the county, as you might remember, Judge Burton, who is going to stay the presiding judge in the county, we'll have him for another year, has used the reason that he doesn't want the sheriffs doing the evictions. He's afraid for the sheriff's safety. So that, I think, is going to go more with how the COVID is in the community. That's going to be what Judge Burton will rely on. We're still in phase 0 in the county. He makes his determinations on Fridays. We usually don't know about them until Monday. So we'll know today or Monday whether we've gotten back to phase one or not. I would guess no. I think the spread in the community is still too widespread for him to be willing to go up to phase one. And remember, we have to get to phase two before he'll let us do evictions. And per Missouri Supreme Court orders, we have to stay at each phase for at least 2 weeks. So phase two in the county is at least 3 weeks away, probably longer.
So in the city, if nothing happens, I guess with Congress or any of that stuff, is the new judge going to allow the executions to start like after New Year's in the city?
Well,
Or is it still in the air?
I haven't talked to him. I hope that he will let them start, but I don't know. It's a new judge.
So is it the best position for what I was kind of reading on the internet? It seems like people are saying they're wanting to move into their properties to get into it that way. Or if they have a business like I do, saying they're going to make that their office and using that as a way to get around that. Is that kind of the alternative things that we need to look at doing if that's possible for some people to enable things to move forward as a workaround, or are they not allowing that in our?
I'm not sure I understand your
jurisdiction?
question, Harry.
From what I was reading around the country, landlords are saying that they're wanting to move into the apartments or make the apartments an office and filing their evictions that way and being able to move the tenant that way. You know, giving them
Yeah.
notice, 30 days and then going in.
Well, I think
been
you could always terminate them and do unlawful detainers. I don't know why you'd want to turn it into an office.
I was just saying to get them out of there because right now it's open-ended. Who knows?
If it's not an
saw-
office, it's not an office. If someone's living there as a residence, it's not, you can't just say it's an office and evict them. That's not.
Or,
gonna
s- yeah, or say you're going to use it for storage. You could store stuff in it because it's your property and use it for storage.
I don't think that helps you.
Well, we get the tenant out and then you could just let it sit for 4 or 5 months.
But you can always, if you get the tenant out, you don't have to re-rent your property.
Right.
Right. You don't have to call it an office to be able to not re-rent it. You can just not re-rent it. I mean, keep in mind, I don't give tax advice. There might be tax reasons to do other things with it, but as far as being able to evict a tenant, I don't think designating a residence as an office helps you.
I see. Then the other question is, in light of everything that's happened, especially with the possibility of bankruptcy, I was trying to get hold of Chris to see if, because he has my lease, what changes should we make or what protections should we put in those going forward in light of the ever-changing environment we're in now? Or is there anything we can put in there?
Yeah, unfortunately, you can't put anything in your lease that will help you in the event of bankruptcy because you can't use a lease to waive somebody's bankruptcy rights. They have those rights no matter what your lease says. So I don't have a fix for that right now.
Okay.
Okay.
Kathy, I have a question. I think I heard you mention something about St. Charles specifically. What is the exact status that are evictions on? Is the sheriff allowed to go out? Where does it stand in St. Charles County?
St. Charles is business as usual. We can have court dates on evictions. We can get judgments. We can send the sheriff out.
Excellent, thank you.
It's, you cross the river, it's like a completely different country.
Hey, Kathy, one thing that was discussed later last time was people kept talking about the CARES Act. The CARES Act is gone and we're under a different set of rules now. Isn't that correct?
Well, I think some of the CARES Act funding, that's that funding that the city and
Yes.
the county have that lasts until the end of the year.
Sure.
So-
But as far as the eviction and that's gone because the judges made new rules, right?
Well, because we have the CDC moratorium instead. Yes,
Right.
the original CARES Act state is over, but we have the CDC moratorium now.
Right. Yeah, I thought there were a lot of people confused over that and they were saying, well, according to the CARES Act, and I go, that's dead and we're into the CDC thing.
We're into the CDC now, or local court stays.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you.
You're welcome. I think it is confusing. I'm confused.
That's why we have you.
Right, right. And I can tell you this. We have a friend, we have a lot of friends at the courthouse. They're very nice. We have a friend at the county, a clerk, a supervisor clerk who we like a lot. And we're meeting her today so that we can give her our candy to go to the clerks, because we are not forgetting to give this handout to make sure that they all stay sweet. So we might be able to get some inside scoop when we have that meeting today. We'll see.
Cool.
Yeah. And we give good candy. Yes, nothing from Walgreens. We give Bissinger's. We're known for that. We've done it for many years. So we are making sure the clerks still get their candy, even if they won't let us in the building.
Good on you.
Yeah. Well, guys, everybody be happy.
Yes.
We have one more meeting before Christmas, right?
Let's see, today is, yes. And then we'll be off for 2 Fridays in a row. And, that's good, because there's nothing really, I don't think, that will go on over the Christmas holidays that will be urgent. If I get anything, I'll email it to John, and your board can figure out if it's important enough to give it to you on your website or email you, or whatever protocol you would like to follow. And then after the first of the year, we should have a lot of news, because the new presiding judges will be in, the new division judges, maybe Congress will give more aid. Maybe there'll be more vaccines. I mean, it should be a lot. But yeah, we'll see you next week one more time before the holidays.
Mhm.
So,
Hey, thank you, Kathy. Appreciate you
thanks,
coming on.
Lloyd. It's good to see everybody. I'll see you guys next week. You know where I am if you need anything in the meantime. And let's send our positive thoughts towards this vaccine getting out there quickly. Yeah.
Thank you, Kathy. We always
Thanks.
appreciate all these updates and everything you do. You're invaluable. Thank you.
I appreciate having the chance to talk to you guys every week too. We'll talk to you soon.
Tell Christine and
Thanks, Kathy.
I will. I'll tell them that you guys were asking about them.
yeah, we're sending them our best positive energy what we can do.
Okay.
Thanks. Thanks
Bye.
again.
Yeah. Thank you.